The Bible has been copied over and over and over and over again. Nobody knows how many times it has been copied. We don't even have the original manuscript. How do we know that the Bible is true? Isn't it some documents that the white people use to enslave our minds so that we can forever be servants or slaves to them? Why do Christians go about quoting the Bible and telling us stuff that they cannot even verify? Is the Bible even true? Can you really trust the Bible? Well, today I want you to understand. I am a Christian, a pastor, but I'm also a thinker, a question asker like yourself. And today I want to share with you genuinely and honestly why I believe that the Bible is true. And no, I'm not going to quote Bible to prove the Bible, because I know that wouldn't work with a lot of people. So let's have a real conversation. No pressure, no pretense, just the truth. And at the end of the day, you decide for yourself, can we trust the Bible or not? Now, before we go any deeper, let's pause and define the question. When someone says, can the Bible be proven true? What do they even mean by the word true? Are we talking historically true, scientifically perfect, or morally trustworthy? Or is the real question this, can I trust this book with my life? So you see, truth is not always about what you think can be tested in the lab. It is also about coherence, whether it makes sense of the world or it makes sense in your life, or things you can feel but can't always explain. So no, my dear friend, I can't put Genesis or Exodus or any of the books in the Bible under a microscope in the science lab. I can't run a scientific test on the resurrection of Jesus Christ. But let us be very fair here. You can't prove love in a test tube either. You can't measure hope with a thermometer. There is nothing like hopometer or anything like that. And yet, we believe that these things exist. So today I want us to look at the Bible from three real angles. The first one is that, is the Bible historically grounded? Number two, does it make sense of human experience? And three, can I really trust it with my soul? Now, with that understanding, let's get deeper. The first thing is that, is the Bible historically grounded? Let's start with something that is not spiritual. I am talking about history. You see, the Bible is not a floating book of myth. It's actually filled with rare names, rare places, rare kings, and rare empires that existed in the world. So I can say the Bible is a historical book. And you don't have to be a Christian to be able to verify the fact that the Bible accounts rare events, rare people that lived in this world at a point in time. For example, King David, who was long dismissed as a legend. People didn't believe that he even lived. But archaeologists have actually found inscriptions in ancient, ruins that actually proves that there was once a king by the name of King David. Pontius Pilate, that Roman governor who condemned Jesus Christ, his name was literally found carved in stone in Caesarea. And again, there is the famous Dead Sea Scrolls, copies of the Old Testament dating as far back as 2,000 years ago, almost identical to the Bibles that we hold in our hands today. And yes, that matters a lot, because it means that the Bible wasn't made up centuries later. It hasn't been rewritten to fit some modern agenda. It is actually rooted in rare history. So the next time somebody says that the Bible is just a storybook, you can actually check the evidence. Tell them to check the evidence. Tell them to do archaeological excavations. Perhaps that may be too expensive to do, but tell them to do their own research. Just the same methodologies that is used to confirm every other ancient document is the same methodology that was used to confirm the authenticity or the historical groundness of the Bible, and everything proved to be true. Long ago, people believed that the town or the kingdom known as Nineveh, where the Bible tells us that a man by the name of Jonah was sent to prophesy to them, people believed that Nineveh never existed. But archaeological excavations later revealed that indeed there was a kingdom by the name of Nineveh. So yes, historically, the Bible is grounded just like any other ancient historical record that we all believe to be history, the Bible is also a source of important history of the world, history of rare kings that lived, history of rare empires. When the Bible spoke of the Roman Empire, it wasn't talking about some myth. It was a rare empire. When the Bible spoke of the Egyptian Empire, historians now know and believe that yes, Egypt was once a mighty kingdom. All of this was recorded in the Bible. In fact, even the Exodus experience, where the Jewish people left the kingdom of Egypt and on the way God opened the Red Sea for them, archaeologists have actually been able to find ancient chariots under the Red Sea, which confirms that indeed some years ago something like this took place in this world. So yes, historically we can say, based on every method that is used to prove historical records, that the Bible is indeed very true. Now we need to understand again that reason and faith aren't enemies. No, they work together. Let's get a bit deeper now. Most people, especially on university campuses, academicians, people who are based on science and they believe in science, think that you have to choose between reason and faith. Well, personally, I don't believe that. I actually think that reason and faith go hand in hand. Now, let's talk logic for a second. If there is no God, which means there's no Bible, question is, where do moral laws come from? And I'm not talking about cultural customs. I mean deep sense that some things are just wrong, no matter where you live or no matter who you are. If the universe had a beginning, what caused it? Not what happened after. That is what science tells us. After the Big Bang, something happened. But what caused the beginning in the first place? These are things the Bible explains. And again, if your thoughts are just neurons firing from random evolution, how can you even trust your own thinking? You see, my dear friends, these are the cracks in the atheistic worldview. Not because atheists are dumb. No. In fact, most of them are very brilliant. But because atheism can't fully explain the why behind the what. But the Bible does that perfectly. It says you are not random. You were created by a God in his own majestic image. And that morality isn't just personal opinions, it reflects the character of God. That love, justice, and beauty are not illusions, they are echoes of eternity. So yes, there is a God, and reason and faith do not fight against each other. They go hand in hand. Some people think that when you are a faithful person, you believe in God, it means you put science and reason aside. No. Science actually proves that there is a maker behind all the things that we see in this world. Now, let's now dive into the area of prophecy. The Bible said certain things would happen, and they did happen. And those prophetic happenings actually proves that the Bible is true. And this is what actually shakes me. This is what confirms my belief in the Bible, and that is prophecy. Hundreds of years before Jesus ever showed up in history, ancient Hebrew texts, buried, copied, and preserved, actually described a man who will be born in Bethlehem, who will be rejected by his own people, who will be pierced. And that was even before crucifixion ever existed. A man who would die with criminals but buried in a rich man's tomb. Listen, that is not YouTube conspiracy. That is Isaiah chapter 53. That is Micah chapter 5 verse 2. That is Psalm 22. All of them were written centuries before Christ existed. And even secular scholars actually agree that these texts existed before Jesus. And this is something I want to challenge you, because you see, we have records from ancient people, not Bible. These records that we believe, that they are historical records, they are scientific methods that we use to test them, backdate them to know that they are indeed coming from a specific period in history. And guess what? The same methodologies, that is science-based methods used to test some of these secular ancient records, are the same test or the same methods that are used to test the authenticity and the historicity of the Bible. So indeed, when we look at the prophecies, they were written hundreds of years before Jesus Christ even existed. So indeed, that proves that the Bible is true. Now here is the question. Either Jesus and his friends staged the most elaborate long-term con in history, or the prophecies were real. And obviously, we know that they wouldn't stage that. Okay, the prophecies are real. Now, I am not saying this automatically proves every single verse in the Bible, but it should make you pause and start to think about the authenticity of the Bible. What kind of book is this? And who exactly was that man? In fact, that man was the center of it all. His name was Jesus Christ. Or his name, let me say, is Jesus because he's still alive. Now, let me bring this home. Because you know what? For me, this is the heartbeat of it all. Jesus Christ. You can ignore religion. I don't care about that. You can even walk away from church. But you can never ignore the center of the Bible, Jesus Christ. Even atheist historians agree that yes, Jesus Christ lived. History proves that. They agree that he was crucified. No atheist would doubt that, except they don't want to just say the truth. And somehow, the same disciples who followed Jesus Christ, who went into hiding for fear of being killed when Jesus was crucified, later on turned the world upside down after the death of Jesus Christ. The question is, why? What flipped the switch? What made them willing to die for a man they claimed rose from the dead? Think about that. You don't get tortured for something you made up. No, who would do that? You don't face lions and fire and exile just to protect a lie. Nobody does that. The empty tomb is still the greatest unanswered riddle of history, and no skeptic has ever solved this. So you see, this proves that the Bible is true. If it was staged, it was just some trick or a lie by the disciples to cover up something, they wouldn't have gone through all the torture, the pain, the neglect for years just to protect a lie. And lies can't survive centuries except it is grounded in truth. So you see, the Bible is true. And it is not just intellectual, it is personal. So let me be real with you, my friend. My belief in the Bible is not just because of archaeology or prophecy. It is not just historical or intellectual. For me, my belief in the Bible is personal. Because let me be honest with you, I have seen what this book does. I have seen it break addictions. I have seen it restore marriages. I have seen it give worth to the rejected and peace to the anxious. And for me personally, I have felt it. I have had moments where I was empty, confused, tired, and this book held me together when nothing else could do that. Well, maybe you are still skeptical. That's okay. I'm not forcing you to believe everything I'm saying now. But here is one request from me. Don't reject the Bible because someone misused it. You see, that's the problem. In the past, according to history, Africans were enslaved. Majority of the African countries were enslaved by European slave traders. Some of them were corrupted. Some of them did not have the full truth of the Bible. When they came to our part of the world, some used the Bible as a weapon. They used the Bible as a tool to humble us so that they can enslave us. They gave us the Bible and took our land. They gave us the scriptures and took our gold. They gave us the Bible and gave us their culture. Now understand that they were wrong. It was wrong for them to teach us that for you to become a Christian, you need to abandon your culture. It is a lie. The Bible did not come from Europe. Let me emphasize that here. The Bible did not originate from Europe or America. The Bible came from the Middle East. Understand that. The Bible is a book about a God and a man who lived in the Middle East, in Israel specifically. It is not an European thing. It is not an European book. The Europeans had the gospel later on, after Africans had received the gospel. I will do another video on that very soon for you to understand. So the fact that some group of Europeans who were misguided by the truth actually used the Bible as a way of enslaving us, as a way of abandoning our culture, Can you imagine? It was taught that when you become a Christian and you were Ghanaian, your name was associated with evil or God. So you need to abandon your name and take on Christian name. But you see, I have come to read the Bible myself, and there is nothing like Christian name in the Bible. It is not biblical. It was wrong, and we condemn that. But the fact that they were wrong does not mean that the Bible is wrong. The fact that one doctor had it wrong and started doing bad stuff doesn't mean I don't have to visit the hospital again. It was his mistake, and I will deal with it, but we still believe in the truth. So don't reject the Bible because someone misused it. And again, don't reject God because a Christian was fake. There are many fake Christians out there. There are many people who profess to be followers of Christ but are fake. In fact, there are even men of God who are not from God. The Bible actually says that in the last days, false prophets and false Christ would come. So when you see a fake prophet or a fake Christian, do not reject the Bible or do not reject God because of a fake person. They are not representing the book that I am talking about. So read it yourself. Not to agree with it, not to become religious, but to ask, what if this is true? What if all the stuff, all the text is actually true? You see, someone said, when you believe in the Bible and when you serve God and you believe in God and you serve God faithfully and you die and discover that it was all a lie, guess what? You don't lose anything, because the Bible will teach you principles about living, marriage principles about business, life principles. In actual sense, when you follow the Bible as your guidebook for life, you prosper in every area of your life. That is why if you look at some of the advanced countries in the world, like the Americas, like the Europe, most of them from their beginning, the nations were founded on the truth that were found in the Bible. They are honest, they tell the truth, they are hardworking. These are all principles rooted in the Word of God. So if you follow the Bible as the book for life and you do that says the Lord, you live your life according to the Bible, and then you die and discover that it was all a lie, guess what? You lose absolutely nothing. But if you reject the Bible, you don't believe in it, and then it happens that after death you discover that it was true, you lose everything. So keep on asking, keep on searching, and maybe God will lead you to the truth. And I want to encourage you, start with the author of the book. Start with the center of the book, not with religion, not with rules, just Jesus Christ. Read his words, look at his life. You don't have to believe everything immediately, but if there is even 1% chance that this book is true, wouldn't it be the most important truth that you could ever discover? The choice is in your hands. My dear friend, if this video made you think, really think, don't scroll away. Drop a comment. Let's talk. God bless you for staying to the very end. Remember to subscribe and like this video. Be part of this channel, because every single week, twice a week, I share important messages that will change your life. I'll come your way again very soon. Remember, the Bible says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Shalom.